Lake Nyos. Imagine sleeping near a quiet lake in Cameroon. No fire, no explosion, nothing that suggests danger. But by the next morning, more than 1,700 people were dead. This is Lake Nyos. And on the night of August 21st, 1986, it unleashed one of the strangest natural disasters in history. The lake lies inside a volcanic crater in northwestern Cameroon. From deep within the earth, carbon dioxide had been slowly rising and dissolving into the lake's deeper waters. Over the years, the gas accumulated under enormous pressure. Then something disturbed the water. It may have been a landslide or a sudden shift in the lake's layers. And suddenly, the gas was released all at once. A massive cloud of carbon dioxide burst out of the lake. Because the gas is heavier than air, it did not rise far. Instead, it sank toward the ground and flowed through the surrounding valleys and villages. The cloud traveled as far as about 25 kilometers, and it displaced the oxygen in the air. People could not see the gas. They could not smell it. Many lost consciousness within minutes and then suffocated inside their homes. The disaster killed 1,746 people and around 3,500 cattle. Most animals and insects in the areas crossed by the cloud also nearly disappeared. This phenomenon is known as a limnic eruption. It occurs when deep water becomes saturated with gas, which is then suddenly released in enormous quantities. After the disaster, scientists discovered that the danger could return. So in 2001, they began installing pipes that draw gas-saturated water from the depths to the surface. As the water rises through the pipes, the carbon dioxide is released gradually instead of erupting all at once. More pipes were later added to reduce the amount of gas building up below, but the lake is still being fed with carbon dioxide from beneath the earth. That is why it requires constant monitoring. Lake Nyos did not kill people with lava or a giant wave. It killed them with a silent cloud that had no color and no smell. A cloud that descended in the night and stole the oxygen from the air itself. Danakil Depression. Imagine standing in a place where the ground lies below sea level, while daytime temperatures rise above 45 degrees Celsius. Beneath your feet is a crust of salt. Around you are acidic springs, volcanic gases, and land colored in ways that make it look like another planet. This is the Danakil Depression in the Afar region of northeastern Ethiopia. Some parts of it lie about 125 meters below sea level, and it is considered one of the hottest places on Earth. In the Dalal area, the average annual temperature has been recorded at more than 34 degrees Celsius, while daytime temperatures can approach 50 degrees. But heat is not the only danger. The region lies above a point where tectonic plates are pulling away from one another. This makes the Earth's crust thinner and allows magma and hot gases to rise closer to the surface. At Dalal, hot groundwater rises carrying sulfur, iron, and salts. When it reaches the surface, it forms intensely acidic and salty pools in shades of yellow, green, and red. Some of this water is close to boiling, and its acidity can be strong enough to damage skin and tissue. Volcanic gases such as carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide can also collect in certain areas. These gases may cause headaches, dizziness, and difficulty breathing, and if they accumulate in low-lying places, they can become deadly. Near the depression lies Erta Ale, one of Africa's most famous active volcanoes, known for having a lava lake inside its crater for long periods. Despite these conditions, the Afar people have lived in the region for centuries. Some of them extract salt from the ground and transport it in caravans across the desert. But working here means facing extreme heat, limited water, volcanic gases, and the possibility of volcanic activity. Without enough water, proper protection, and a guide who knows the region, dehydration and heatstroke can kill a person in a very short time. The Danakil Depression is not just a hot desert. It is a place where extreme heat, acids, gases, volcanoes, and land below sea level all come together. That is why it looks like a piece of another planet brought to Earth. Vostok Station. Imagine opening a door to the outside, only to be met by a temperature approaching 90 degrees below zero. The air is dry, the wind is brutal, and any exposed part of your skin could freeze within minutes. This is Vostok Station, one of the harshest and most isolated places on Earth. The Russian station is located deep in the heart of Antarctica, at an elevation of about 3,500 meters above sea level. On July 21, 1983, a temperature of minus 89.2 degrees Celsius was recorded there. It remains the lowest air temperature ever directly measured at Earth's surface. At this level of cold, breathing becomes painful. Moisture from the mouth and nose can begin to freeze, and the body loses heat extremely quickly. The danger is made even worse by the altitude. Oxygen still makes up about 21% of the air, but the lower pressure means that each breath provides the body with roughly 40% less oxygen than at sea level. That is why new arrivals may suffer from headaches, dizziness, and shortness of breath until they acclimatize. Vostok Station was established in 1957 for scientific research. During winter, sunlight disappears for about 4 months, and temperatures drop to levels that make access almost impossible. Researchers live inside heated buildings. They store food and fuel before winter begins. And any failure in heating or electricity can become a deadly threat because the nearest help is hundreds of kilometers away, while storms and aircraft limitations can prevent rescue from arriving. Directly beneath the station lies Lake Vostok, buried under about 4 kilometers of ice and isolated from the outside world for millions of years. But above it, there are no trees, no wild animals, and almost no natural life at all. Vostok Station is not just a cold place. It is a place where deadly cold, low oxygen, long darkness, and complete isolation all come together. And without shelters, heating, and specialized equipment, a human being would not survive there for long. Cave of the Crystals. Imagine entering an underground cave and finding transparent crystals the size of building columns. Some of them are more than 11 meters long and weigh tens of tons. But the problem is not their size. The problem is that you may not survive among them for more than a few minutes. This is the Cave of the Crystals, located inside the Naka mine in the Mexican state of Chihuahua. The cave was discovered in 2000 when miners were excavating at a depth of nearly 300 meters below the surface. They unexpectedly broke into a massive chamber filled with gypsum crystals, some of the largest natural crystals ever found. But the cave was like a sealed furnace. Its temperature reaches around 50 degrees Celsius and may rise to nearly 58 degrees in some areas. Humidity is close to 100%. Under these conditions, sweat cannot evaporate. That means the body loses its main ability to cool itself. A person's body temperature rises rapidly. Dizziness and exhaustion begin, and within a short time, they may lose consciousness. That is why researchers could enter the cave only while wearing specialized cooling suits and breathing equipment that supplied them with cooler air. Without this protection, a person might not be able to remain inside for more than about 10 minutes. As for how these crystals formed, the story began hundreds of thousands of years ago. Hot groundwater rich in minerals completely filled the cave. The stable temperature allowed gypsum crystals to grow extremely slowly. Over time, they became enormous columns. Some crystals reached about 11.4 meters in length, and their weight was estimated at more than 50 tons. But the cave only became visible after mine pumps began removing the groundwater. When pumping stopped after parts of the mine were closed in 2015, water gradually began returning to the cave. Today, access has become extremely difficult, and large parts of it may once again be underwater. The Cave of the Crystals looks like a palace made of glass, but behind that beauty are heat and humidity that make it impossible for the human body to survive for long. It is an astonishing place to see, but not a place where you could live. Lake Karachay. Imagine standing in front of a small, quiet lake in Russia. No fire, no smoke, nothing that suggests danger. But in the early 1990s, radiation levels along parts of its shoreline reached approximately 600 roentgens per hour. That meant staying there for around 1 hour could expose you to a lethal dose of radiation. This is Lake Karachay, one of the most radioactively contaminated places in history. The story began in the late 1940s when the Soviet Union built the Mayak complex to produce plutonium for nuclear weapons. But the facility generated enormous amounts of radioactive waste. Beginning in 1951, that waste was pumped directly into Lake Karachay. The lake covered less than half a square kilometer, yet it became filled with dangerous materials such as cesium-137 and strontium-90. The total radioactive activity accumulated there reached approximately 120 million curies. On September 29, 1957, the cooling system inside a waste storage tank at the Mayak complex failed. Its temperature rose until the tank exploded, releasing radioactive material across a vast area. More than 10,000 people were evacuated. The disaster was later classified as a level 6 nuclear accident, just one level below Chernobyl and Fukushima. Then another disaster came in 1967. A drought struck the region. The lake's water level dropped, exposing part of its radioactive bed. Winds lifted the contaminated dust and spread it across approximately 1,800 square kilometers. It reached areas inhabited by hundreds of thousands of people. The danger is that radiation cannot be seen or smelled. But once it enters the body, it damages cells, bone marrow, and the digestive system. It can cause bleeding, infection, and eventually death. That is why, beginning in 1978, authorities started filling the lake with rocks and concrete blocks to stabilize the contaminated sediment and prevent it from spreading. The operation continued for decades. By 2015, authorities announced that the lake had been sealed and almost completely covered. Today, Karachay is no longer an open lake, but the radioactive waste is still buried beneath it, and the site requires constant monitoring. Karachay was once an ordinary lake, but the nuclear arms race turned it into a place where standing nearby for just 1 hour could be enough to kill you.